Behind closed doors, the organization is frantically shifting gears, and the faithful know a revolution is overdue. The previous campaign exposed glaring cracks in the attack, specifically regarding the inability to close out decisive moments. Sweating wasn't the issue. Precision was, and those recurring minor blunders eventually morphed into insurmountable barriers that crippled the entire roster. The front office recognizes it, the staff sees it, and undoubtedly, you have witnessed the collapse every single game day. These coming weeks are dedicated to ironing out those wrinkles and constructing a bedrock capable of supporting championship aspirations. Before we dive deeper, smash that like button if you have bled orange and blue for over 20 seasons. Seeing supporters from every single era gather in one place is absolutely incredible. If that describes you, drop a comment immediately shouting, "Go Broncos," because my soul is colored orange and blue. So, let us cut to the chase. From the moment Bo Nix arrived in 2024 through the finale of the 2025 season, this squad topped a nightmare metric that destroys young passers. 75 total fumbled opportunities by the receivers. 75 means averaging 37.5 errors annually, locking them into the top 5 worst units for a statistic everyone desperately avoids. Here is the reality that should genuinely terrify you as a supporter. These numbers reflect only the mistakes formally recorded by the official stat keepers, meaning these are just the confirmed blunders. Consider the sheer volume of questionable misses that went unflagged. Realistically, you could tack on another 5 or 6 failures for every single athlete. Such failure isn't misfortune. It is a systemic disease, so link that directly to another crucial metric from 2025. Denver sat 17th in generating big plays, trailing Arizona while barely edging out squads like Pittsburgh, Atlanta, and Cincinnati. 2 of those mentioned franchises failed to even qualify for the postseason tournament. Merging constant fumbles with a mediocre big play ability creates an attack that inevitably sputters when the pressure peaks. Possessions that deserve to thrive instead die prematurely, forcing the punting unit onto the field. Third down conversions vanish into the ether of wasted chances, and analyzing exactly who caused these errors reveals a disturbing truth. We aren't discussing reserves here. These were primary starters, with Sutton himself fumbling away 8 crucial catches. Ingram mishandled 8, Harvey dropped 7, while Franklin and Bryant missed 4 and 3 respectively, comprising your entire offensive nucleus. This represents your foundational lineup, and while we could debate other flaws like the strategy employed by Sean Payton, we might discuss giveaways or the absence of a dynamic ground game. But dropping the football is entirely preventable. It comes down to fundamentals, discipline, concentration, and ultimately how the roster was assembled. Management obviously grasps the severity, as dismissing the receivers coach to install fresh leadership was certainly no accident. Such a move signals responsibility and admits that the status quo was simply unsustainable. However, new leadership cannot solve everything because an injection of raw skill is absolutely required. Listing the offseason necessities puts pass catchers at the pinnacle, sharing the spotlight with ball carriers and defenders. The tight end position seems less critical, and while trench depth matters, it isn't currently an emergency. Finding a receiver is an emergency, making this upcoming scouting event vital as specific talents undergo intense scrutiny. Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame, Elijah Sarrett, Brennan Thompson, and Gurmy Bernard are on the radar. While not guaranteed opening round selections, these athletes could skyrocket their value by dominating the athletic testing. Mississippi State's Brennan Thompson is particularly fascinating, with rumors swirling that he might clock the fastest time, potentially breaking 4.3. And possessing that specific velocity forces opposing coverages to adjust immediately. He posted 18.5 yards every catch, constantly ripping the defense open despite playing for a struggling squad. Surpassing 1,000 yards with 6 scores, he showcased undeniable deep ball capability. Consider Chris Brazzell, standing 6'5" and 200 pounds. He is the long, explosive prototype Sean Payton covets, boasting over 1,000 yards and 9 scores, averaging 16.5 yards per grab, aided significantly by the enhanced delivery of Joey Aguilar. Although unpolished in certain aspects like fighting for the ball, his potential ceiling is absolutely massive. Gaining strength and experience could transform him into a lethal asset, bringing us to the most critical realization. Listen up, Denver. This mission isn't merely filling a roster spot. It is about safeguarding the evolution of Bo Nix. No rookie passer can mature when possessions are constantly killed by fumbles, because confidence, rhythm, and trust are everything. Within 24 hours, we will receive direct updates from Sean Payton and George Paton at the scouting event. While their statements carry weight, their maneuvers in the coming months involving free agency, drafting, and trading will define the future. The trajectory is becoming undeniable, and this is where the narrative shifts, because spotting the flaw is only the first step. It is about gauging the sheer ferocity with which this leadership group is prepared to dismantle and fix it. When you stare down those 75 combined drops since Bo Nix took the helm, you are seeing far more than a statistic. You are witnessing killed drives and the erosion of that vital psychic bond between a passer and his targets. You are staring at an artificial ceiling, a potential left untapped because the bedrock beneath it remains shaky. A rookie signal caller craves consistency above all else, as timing patterns hinge entirely on predictive instincts. That instinct relies on faith, and faith evaporates the moment the leather hits the grass, making this position a foundational repair. Here is another detail that demands your focus. Denver already demonstrated last year that they are hunting for improvements. Phones were ringing at the deadline and fresh faces were rotated into the lineup all season long. That proves this is no blind spot for management. They see the cracks, but identifying a leak and sealing it are distinct challenges. Let us consider the specific breed of playmaker that transforms this unit, because raw velocity is not the only answer. While a burner like Brennan Thompson could certainly tear the top off the defense and ignite sparks, stature alone is insufficient. Even though a 6'5" giant like Brazzell would offer Nix a massive catch radius and a red zone nightmare, it comes down to unwavering reliability. You need a closer, because when Sutton drops 8, Ingram drops 8, Harvey drops 7, and the others pile on, it is not an anomaly. It is a systemic failure that emboldens defenses to suffocate the line, knowing they will not pay the price deep down the field. Safeties creep closer, throwing lanes shrink to nothing, and every single yard becomes a brutal struggle. Keep in mind, Denver sat at 17th in explosive play rate, which is the definition of average. That is not disastrous enough to trigger alarms, but it certainly strikes no fear. Mediocrity will never restore this franchise to glory. This is precisely where the scouting combine evolves beyond mere 40-yard sprints and stopwatch times. It transforms into an arena for grit, gauntlet drills, surgical route running, and balance. You watch for the ones who snatch every pass. You look for the athlete who rips the ball from the air with hands, not body, moving with fluid grace rather than rigid mechanics. I constantly return to the critical growth curve of Bo Nix, as that third season is often the make-or-break moment. That is when the chaos settles and processing speeds up, but that evolution halts if his weapons remain stagnant. That is why I'm convinced George Paton cannot gamble by treating the receiver position as an afterthought. The backfield has value and linebacker depth is essential. A tight end might boost specific sets, yet no other role dictates the success of every dropback quite like a dependable target. Let us be real here. The AFC is ruthless. Fail to rip off big yardage or shield your passer's psyche, and you will be buried. You cannot depend on tactical tweaks alone, for no amount of coaching magic can fix basic blunders like dropped passes. Denver took one massive stride by bringing a new authority figure into that receiver meeting room. That move screams accountability. Yet the heavy lifting remains, acquiring the talent that compels the whole group to rise. Picture acquiring a deep threat who forces the defense to commit 2 men to him. Envision a towering frame who dominates jump balls near the goal line, and slashing those drop statistics by 50%. Drives stay alive, third downs are conquered, and that explosive rate vaults from 17th into the top 10. This is attainable. It is simply probability and performance. And we are mere hours from hearing Sean Payton and George Paton address the combine. Their inflection, their focus, and their specific phrasing will tell the whole story. Will they brush the problem aside or confront it directly? Because this fan base has earned the right to the unvarnished truth. You need assurance that management witnesses the same struggles you endure on game day. So I pose the question of philosophy to you. Should Denver burn a high-value selection on a playmaker to instantly alter the course of this attack, or rely on coaching up current talent and looking later in the draft? Leave your opinions below, as I want to know precisely how bold you believe this franchise must become.